Hello and welcome to CEO Declassified. Today I have a very special guest who also happens to be one of my best friends, Niché Arlow, who's a sales psychology expert and one of my absolute favorite people in the entire world. So, Niché, welcome to the show. Could you please introduce yourself to everybody who doesn't know you for some reason and get into your story a little bit?
Yes, of course. First of all, I want to say I'm so honored to be here, and it is the greatest pleasure to do this podcast with you. So, if you don't know me, I'm a little bit whimsical, a little bit crazy, and obsessed with science, and especially the science around how to create wealth. And my expertise are in sales psychology, but it is more around the neuropsychology that goes into creating everything you want in life. So that is a little bit about me. That's what I do. I mostly work with online entrepreneurs on how to make as much money as freaking possible.
That's amazing. So, what was the turning point for you when you decided I want to have my own coaching business?
Ooh, okay. I used to work for a coaching company in the industry and I was head of sales and head of sales team. So I've told you this before. Within the first 6 months, we grew to over $1 million, and within the first year, we grew to over $6 million. And that was just in the first year and a half working with this company. But I didn't agree with all of the sales techniques they wanted us to apply. And I felt like I can do so much more than doing sales for a company, but rather teaching smaller business owners how to create that for themselves. So when I felt the pull, I knew I didn't have a lot of time because I'm not someone who can sit on my ass. And I was like, okay, we got to make this happen as soon as possible. When the decision was made, I was making my first sales less than a week later.
Wow. I mean, I've heard this story myself, so I'm glad that you could share that with the audience because, yeah, some of the stories that I personally heard from you are amazing. I didn't even know that when I first found you online. So, one of the most important things that I know you teach is the importance of influence. So, what do you think people misunderstand the most about building influence and, more importantly, the persuasion to actually sell their offers?
I think people misunderstand, especially persuasion and influence, is the over versus with. Having persuasion or having influence is not having persuasion or influence over someone. It is not giving them the opportunity to choose for themselves. Having influence, truly having influence or having a very persuasive personality is having power with someone. You are gradually guiding them to walk with you. You are gradually guiding them to enter their own power, their own potential. And I think the misconception is a lot of people think that persuasion is having power over someone and not having power with someone. But that shift also changes the way you interact with the person and they interact with you, and the power dynamic between you two amplifies. It's not you having power over them, it's you two become powerful together, or you and your audience become powerful together.
Yeah, that's a very different approach that I've heard most coaches teach in the last, 10 years. That's what I felt different about you when I first found out about you through a summit that I watched you speak, and then the 10-day experience that I joined with you, Equity, which I do want to talk a little bit more about it because it was probably one of my most favorite offers of yours, although it's really hard to choose because I've been in a couple of them already. So tell me more about, and tell the audience as well, more about Equity, the 10-day sales experience that you hosted, which was like a 10-day challenge. I'll let you talk more about it.
Okay. So, Iglati is one of those offers that were born out of the craziest curiosity within me, where I was like, cool, can we create 100K in 10 days? First of all, I wanted to see if I can do it myself, and I wanted to see if the collective of the group can do it. But I think what people misunderstand about Iglati, or something that's not talked about enough, is it's 10 days. It's a 10-day sprint. It is amazing. It is really cool. But the whole goal of the sprint is to fall in love with sales. And I think that's the number one thing that everyone do not expect to get out of it, but they are so obsessed. You gamify the sales process so much. We have so much fun that you forget it's about making the money. You forget, and of course that is important, that's why we have businesses, but you forget just everything you hate about making sales. But it's really just speed dating, if I'm being honest. It is like being it's like having close proximity with the enemies to lovers. Like, it's literally the same thing. Like, oh no, I have to sell for 10 days, but we're gonna make it as good as freaking possible. And then people end up having so much fun that they fall in love with the process instead of it's not prompts, it is daily invitations to sell a certain way. And then people really just forget what selling is supposed to be like, and we get so in tune with who we are as people to connect with other people. We end up having fun, and then people end up making a lot of freaking money.
Yeah, that was one hell of experience. I'm really looking forward to this year as well, because that 10-day experience really challenged me and challenged me to create better content, because I didn't know what to expect out of it when I joined. I joined as a recommendation by a friend, and then I was like, okay, we're doing this, and then I was like, oh, this is quite challenging. This is not something I've done before. This sales done very differently. So I have a question for you. What's the most unexpected transformation you've witnessed during Equity once you hosted it?
I I want to say, of course, I want to bring in the money wins. Of course, I want to be like, oh, people are making a lot of money. People have exceeded my expectations in so many ways during that challenge. But I think the craziest result we've gotten from it are people who are 10xing their engagement, which is not something I focus on. And the other thing is people who avoided selling for months are so suddenly creating 5 and 10K deals within the first 3 days. So for me, and I don't want to bring the money into it, it's not about that. I'm going to say this as a sales coach, I honestly don't give a shit how much people make. What I care about is how they make it. What I care about is how activated they are when they are talking about their offers, about how excited they are. And for me, if there's one thing I can tell you is selling really is leadership on crack. I know a lot of people say that having a business is self-development on crack. I'm going to tell you that selling is leadership on crack, because you are expected to hold someone else's potential long enough for them to trust you that you will activate that potential with you. Not you activate it, they activate it with you. And for people to be an Eclaté and to realize that selling was not about getting the freaking money, selling was about stepping into your leadership so much. And that means that you hold people's potential in your hands. And the falling in love with selling that happens in Eclaté is not because they're like, oh, I'm making so much money. It is I didn't realize I held so much of my favorite clients, my dream people, the people I want to work with, their potential in my hands, and them feeling safe enough to choose me, to walk with them. I think that's been the most beautiful transformations that we see, is people who really just fall in love again with the process of what selling really is.
Yeah, 100%. Because when I first learned, selling and the traditional advice, and especially in the online coaching industry, it's very much, the bro marketer advice, like go and send 100 DMs a day, send copy paste messages, send emails. And it was very refreshing to see you take a completely different approach that I personally have not seen anybody use in the industry, in any offer, any sales program that I bought before. So I have a question for you regarding sales, because there is a lot of that mainstream advice. If there was one sales advice that you would want to eliminate from every single industry forever, what would that be?
Okay. For me, if I could delete one piece of sales advice, it would be to sell with scarcity. And this is something we hear so many times, especially as entrepreneurs. When we get coaching, when we get advice, when we learn about how to market ourselves, we learn that scarcity gets people over the line. And that is absolutely not true. It is urgency. And there's a huge difference between urgency and scarcity. So for me, if I could tell or delete one thing that people teach around sales, it would be scarcity. And the reason for this is people enter fight or flight when they are scared, when they perceive something as a fear, and people fear their own potential more than anything else in the world. And the moment you activate that fear, they will hit the ground running. People will develop a unconscious block against you, against your marketing, because you activated something in them that they're scared of. But when you use urgency, which can be used very ethically, which can be used in a very beautiful, sometimes the urgency of our own potential activates me so much. Like if you talking to me about my own potential and what I'm capable of, it creates a sense of urgency within me by myself. And that is where really good persuasion comes into, because there's nothing more urgent than feeling like you have magic in your hands and you don't know how to use it. But what creates scarcity is you will never have magic in your hands again. You will never be able to tap into that power again. And what that makes you feel is useless. It makes you feel like you want to retreat. It is the dumbest thing that people can teach in sales, and I unfortunately see it every single day. Market to their pain points. Yes, sure. Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. I would rather market to the people who are already looking for the solution because they know what their pain is. They're ready to take action. And yeah, anyways, just to wrap it up, that's basically what I wish I could change or just have everyone delete from their sales techniques.
Yeah. I really felt the same way when you were promoting Shapeshifter. It felt like I had this untapped potential that I like needed. And like I really could see that in your marketing. So I'm really glad that you brought that up because there's so many marketers still using scarcity tactics. And I don't know, it's just icky. Like, especially after you've been in the industry for a while, if anybody is listening and they've been in the coaching industry for 3, 5, 10 years, like you've seen it all already, so it doesn't make you want to buy. At least for me personally, it doesn't move me as much as when I see something that really speaks to me on a much deeper level when it comes to coaching. So when it comes to sales, if you could implant one new belief into every entrepreneur's brain, what would that be?
I'm going to backtrack to what I said earlier. Two things. I'm going to do two things because I don't follow any rules and I can do what I want. The first thing I would say is that sales is not about selling the offer. Sales is about holding people's potential and mirroring it so much to them that they cannot deny it anymore. And the second thing I want to say about sales, the belief, something I want to change about the beliefs of sales is it's never about what you're selling. It's always about the person you're selling it to. And we get so trapped in this mindset where we go, I have this offer. I've worked so long on this. I've spent so many hours. I've added these cool features. I've added the calls. I've added this. I've added this is my new product. We get so excited about I think we get proud of what we create. So we naturally fall into, I made this. This is what the offer is. This is how amazing it is. And you see content about this all the time, but they don't really explain it, where it's like, don't sell the features, sell the benefits. It's kind of like that, but it's more like, it's not even that. You are not selling is the conversation or the connection between someone else who needs it, who feels drawn to it, not need, but want it, need it so much for they create need within themselves. So when you're selling, and this is going to be the most cliche advice ever, it's not about you. It's not about the offer you make. It's not about how much time you spend. It's not about how cool it is. It is about the person who wants it. And it's about how they can connect to why this is the thing, the offer, the product that they want. But if I had to choose one, I would backtrack to what I say is you got to remember that sales essentially is leadership on crack. You are holding someone else's potential long enough for them to trust you to act on it. And that's what it is.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And if somebody, there's this one thing that there's influence and then there's manipulation, and there's always that fine line. And of course, like when you sell, you have to sell with ethics, but where is the ethical line that most people cross even realizing when it comes to influence and manipulation?
Influence gives you a choice, manipulation doesn't. And that's the simplest way I can do that or put that down. So If you think about influence, it is once again, I'm guiding you towards something, and it can only work if you already want it. It can only work to remove resistance. It can only work for you to believe enough in yourself to want to do that with me. Manipulation is you don't give them a choice. Manipulation is you force your idea or your way upon someone, and they take it as truth because there's no other option for them to take. If you think about this in relationships, if I influence you to go to a restaurant I want to go to, you still want to go eat out, right? That's still your choice. That's still something you want, and we can decide on. I can just influence the choice. It's still something you want. Manipulation would be more like forcing someone to cook when they wanted to go out, right? You're taking away the choice from them. So that to me, and that's a very stupid way to put it, very simple minded way to put it. But for me, the fine line is influences. People have the autonomy to choose what they want, but especially influence is guiding someone to their most powerful decision. And that's what, again, being a leader is influencing people to see their own power and to act on it. Some people just need to be guided towards what power, what, I don't want to say what power is buried beneath them. Because once again, influence is you bring people with you to power. Manipulation is you take people's opportunity away from them, and it's making them believe that there are no other options, and that's it. That's the thing for me. Manipulation is making people believe there are no other options. Influence is making someone believe this is the best option, and that's it. But they always have the opportunity to say no.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you mentioned that, oh, it's going to be a good choice for you to go to Vietnam.
You
It's
knew you already wanted it.
I was just telling my family the other day, I'm like, the moment she said, hey, by the way, I'm like, I was already sold. I'm like, it's very dangerous for somebody with influence and psychology expertise to offer something like this to a friend, knowing damn well I already made a decision in my brain.
I think that is the most important part. You already made the decision. The influence was just showing you that it is a good option right now.
Pretty much. And also, there was one thing that's super important when it comes to sales, and I know you and I actually had this conversation, I believe in Shapeshifter, is the trust. Because when people trust you, the influence is going to be like a bit easier. And the other thing is that trust is very expensive today and authority is cheap because of AI and everything. Can you touch more on the trust bits and how would you build trust for somebody who's it's like, oh, there's so much AI. Like, how do I differentiate myself as a coach, as a leader, as a service provider? Like, how can people build trust these days?
I think that is the hardest and the easiest question to answer in my entire life, because trust is the most natural thing that we want to do as humans, and that is to connect. And literally, the only thing trust is connection. That's all it is. That's all it takes. You know, I told you this. I told you exactly this, that authority is cheap because of fucking AI. Excuse my language, but because of AI. And anyone can be an expert. So we used to build trust with expertise, with education. I know what I'm doing, so you can trust me. It's easier to build trust than ever because of AI. Because what people trust now are people who are raw and real, people who are willing to be themselves, to share their opinions, because no AI can shape an opinion the way you can. And to give you more practical advice, to connect more, I've told you guys this a million times. If you've been on my profile, if you've been on my offers, I tell you this, get on video. AI for video is getting scary realistic, but it's not perfect yet. Get on video and connect. Get on video and connect. Get on your posts, your stories, your lives, your offers, and do storytelling. Get on your platforms, and your main focus should be to have a two-way conversation in some way, shape, or form. But connection is so easy to fake, not when it's you in person, not when it's you on video, not when it's you on a call. I cannot fake connection with you the moment we met. I could not fake connection with you the moment we get on a video call. I could not fake caring about something or someone. But with AI, it's very easy to do that. So, first of all, declutter your brain from the AI post. Oh, I'm not an AI hater. I am a little bit. I do think we're using it for all the wrong reasons instead of all the right reasons. I do think it's great for idea creation, but declutter your brain from it. Stop using it for 10 days, a week. I did it for the entire time during Shapeshifter, which was supposed to be 21 days. It ended up being a little bit more, over 30 days. So for me, for the entire time, I did not use AI and I had to sit with my thoughts. A really good friend of mine and beautiful entrepreneur, she is one of the best of what she does. She's also a creative. Ziza gave me or told me to read a book, The Artist Way. And one of the practices in the book is doing the morning pages, is what it's called. And in the morning, you write 3 pages. It doesn't matter what it's about. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't have to be journaling. It doesn't have to be manifesting. It doesn't have to be, you just have to write 3 pages of your thoughts. And during those mornings, more of my genius poured out than any time I've sat in front of a GPT. And during that time, I really had to sit with my own expertise, my own experiences, the things that I was thinking about, creative ideas I got. So I had to detox from that. And when I served in Shapeshifter, I wanted it to be my lived experience, not some robot giving me the advice. And I've never used it for a course like that, but course outline, of course, a lot of times. And I did not have into that in Shapeshifter, and I felt more connected to myself than I have in a really, really long time. Storytelling is something that AI cannot replicate. It can tell stories, but not your stories. Your most powerful stories would be your embodied experience. It would be the things that have happened, the small things. When we started the podcast, that was not even the full story of what happened. It got really messed up. And I've told you the story where the person came on, the owner of the business, when I wanted to quit and start my own business and I put on my notice. She got on a call with me, and they refused to pay me my last 3 months of commissions and salary. And she literally said, like, how can you prove that you made those sales? I'm like, I tracked it in our system that we use. I have recordings of the calls. And she's like, how can you prove it? And I'm like, I send it to you. And she's like, you can change the dates and the times. I'm like, there are stamps for it. That's something that AI is not going to make up. I've told you the story once again before too, where I was like, well, I have to make it work. And I took 30 one-on-one sessions for free within the first 20 days of my business. I think it was like 21, 22 days of my business. And I meant to do only 20 and then cut off the calls, but people were booking while I was sleeping. And it went up to 30 calls. I made my first 10K pay in full within my first 30 days in my business. And I told you this before, my second month in business was a $0 month. Like, it was crazy, but the month after that was a 20K month. But AI is not going to make this up. And if it is, that's very unethical, and it's not going to feel real because there's emotion behind the stories. I cry when I think about this person who was my boss, but also felt like a sister to me at the time. And the moment I said I wanted my own business and I was in a non-compete, she was doing a spiritual certification. I was doing sales psychology. I was just her sales team manager. The moment I told her I wanted to create my own business, and it really broke a part of me. But AI cannot replicate that. Not the hurt that I felt, not the disappointment, not the fear, not the sister wound that eventually came with that I still talk about and experience and I'm healing now, right? But AI cannot replicate it. It can replicate similar stories, but they will always have a certain rhythm. The zero to hero, the rags to riches. You can tell when a story feels a little bit too one-dimensional is the best way I can explain it. So get on camera, post your mistakes the way you fumble over your words. It's actually also a psychological principle where the more mistakes you make, the more you seem trustworthy. Not actual like intellectual mistakes, but if you trip a little bit over your word, if you have a zit, if I made a post about this, if you have a little bit of arm fat sticking out, who am I allowed to cuss?
Yes, we're already explicit. You already did it twice, and my
Okay.
my podcast is marked as explicit already, so you're good.
Okay. Who the fuck cares? Like, honestly, nobody cares about a little arm fat. We think people care more than we do, so we create AI photos, we create AI videos. Nobody gives a shit about it. It actually makes you more human. It makes it more beautiful. And as a adult now, I even my youth years, I always had a crush on people who had braces or acne or scars or stretch marks or acne scars. To me still to this day is something I find so attractive. And it's all of these little parts that make us human, but it makes it so real. And AI cannot replicate that. Until we start telling AI, please add a little arm fat, please add a zit on my face. And nobody's gonna do that. Our egos get in the way of that.
Oh my god, I'm so glad that you brought all of that up because every single time I see those AI photos, especially when they're not done well, it makes me actually trust the person less, unless it's something that they're teaching, unless they use it in some sort of cool way. But I'm like, just to put yourself on a Lambo, just to put yourself on a freaking jet, like we've seen bro marketers do that, so now with AI, it just 10x like that's never gonna make anybody trust you. Like everybody's making fun of the Lambo photos right now because we know it's just a rental, and now it's even worse with AI. So every person who can afford a $20 membership can now put themselves on a freaking private jet. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I will tell you, there are two instances where I've seen people use AI photos and videos really well. The one you know, she's in 365 is Ella, who creates fantasy worlds and dragons and cool stuff that's not real. So it makes it so much cooler. It creates things into existence that we never thought could happen as a part of our brand. And there's another girl, I can't for the life of me remember what her Instagram is, but she used AI videos not to change her video, but to add like walking robots in the background while she does educational content or like a small Ferris wheel that is turning. I'm like, that's such a cool way to bring your brand to life, but it's still you. It's still you presenting the value. It's just bringing your brand to life instead of using it to make up for a brand you don't have. And I think that's the difference, what makes it good or doesn't.
That is actually super cool. Like to add the cool little details. That's what we should be using AI for. Not to write content, not to outsource our brain power. Because I'll tell you personally, I've had months this year when I haven't felt creative, I haven't felt inspired, and it sounds really weird from somebody who teaches content marketing. But I'm not ashamed to admit that I have used AI, and then I just felt like I lost touch with my audience, with myself, with my creativity, and I felt like I was getting dumber. And that's not a good feeling to have, especially when you're a creator, when you're a coach, when you're a business owner, when people rely on your brain when they work with you. So I feel like we should be using AI, but there's so many more different things to use it for other than your creativity. Like we shouldn't be outsourcing our creativity. And I had the conversation the other day about with somebody about art and about the book talk and that side of the creative world. And somebody said, oh, like they couldn't draw the picture, so they used AI. And I'm like, get fucking better at art. Like, do it yourself. Like, I hate to be that person, but work on your skills. Like, in the world of AI, you have to sharpen your skills. It's more than anything, so you get that unique edge. Like, for me, like, yeah, sure, I can ask ChatGPT, oh, can you give me 5 psychology secrets? Yeah, it's gonna give me something from a fucking Google article or whatever. And when I have a conversation with you, I know, like, my business changed so much just after, like, several calls that we've had. And I mean, being in 365 for just under a year at this point. So, like, we underestimate the power of human connection and actually investing in coaches so much, I feel like now, with like easy access to AI. So yeah, like we should focus on our own edge for sure.
If I may continue the conversation just a little bit on the AI thing, is you got to remember too that AI source from posts from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from published blogs, from Wikipedia, sometimes from posted studies or research, but it is recycling the information people were willing to put for free on the internet. It is just recycling, and there are studies now on sociology and psychology on how we are becoming dumber because of AI. But now we are creating content and blog posts and using it for our research. So it just becomes this recycled, dumbed down, watered down. The research we're putting out, the literature we're putting out, the books we're putting out is AI created. We are dumbing down ourselves as a species. We are supposed to be evolving. We're going backwards. This is really Wall-E that we're heading towards with this. And the thing is, you got to remember that AI uses what is mostly being put on the internet for free. I can tell you that my best psychology tips, information that I have, I'm willing to put it, I don't gatekeep anything. I will share anything and everything with my clients and with my audience. But I will tell you that some concepts are too complex to put for free as just a blog post on the internet. I'm not sharing that. So yeah, your 5 psychology tips from the internet or from GPT might feel, wow, this is really cool, until you have a conversation with someone who understands psychology in certain situations and certain circumstances. And then you realize, oh, wait, these were the dumbest 5 tips I've had in a really long time. And we see this in content so much as well. But yeah.
100%. And I've noticed the different conversations across the different offers of yours. Like I've seen the conversations that happen in 365. I've seen the conversations that happen in even in the House of Mirrors in the masterclass you did this year. In Shapeshifter was very different than in 365. I was like, wow, I didn't know we could implement this. And then in Daredevil, I feel like it's even more elevated in your mastermind. So, and I know in Equity you're going to also share a lot of amazing, sales psychology tips and how to implement it for content. Let me ask you this. What's the most chaotic or unhinged experiment you've done for a launch of either of your offers that actually worked amazingly well and you didn't expect it?
Okay. First of all, I want to tell you that I always expected. I think that's the key ingredient. I've never expected my strategies to not work in my life, ever. That doesn't exist for me. I work it until it works. But I am, not to sound arrogant, but I'm known for using gamification. So I do experiment a lot with gamified sales and having fun and doing the craziest stuff ever for launch. But I think the most chaotic thing that I've decided was my launch for 365, the membership. And I was like, people need to have more sales psychology tips, but I do think reading an entire book is too overwhelming. I think everyone's tired of these freaking long courses. I'm like, what if I do 365 days of one small sales psychology tip per day, every day? And I didn't even have an email system when I did this. There was no welcome email. I had to manually send Google from my Gmail emails. I had to manually send people the details. It was a little crazy, but I was like, you know what? Let's create a membership with a Facebook group. And I have a payment gate, a checkout card, which had nothing on it. It had a graphic with my face on. That's it. 365 membership. Sales psychology membership, that's the entire checkout card. That was the entire thing. But I've built up my marketing so much over months that people were dying to get in. And then I launched it. I literally said, hey, I have the craziest idea. One sales psychology tip every day for the next 365 days. Here's the 365 membership. That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago now. And I put the link out there. And we had over 50 people join within the first 24 hours. And that was the craziest thing to me. And that was the most chaotic launch that I've ever had. I literally, for every sale, that I did not sleep because when a sale came through, I had to type, or I just started copy and pasting the email, but I had to manually send the emails because I didn't have an email system or an automation setup. I had no, at that point, I was only working with one-on-one clients, so I only sent them the payment, the invoice, which was quite easy to create. And yeah, it exploded. It worked really well. I learned how to put up the automation for it within 3 days because I was going crazy. And that worked really, really well. I would also say one of the most chaotic launches was the first time I launched Shapeshifter. And I was literally just having fun. I was hiding the secret codes to get in, and then we sold out within 3 days, which was also crazy. I really am not one for a long launch, and I'm not one for a super structured launch. For me personally, it's different with my clients. We have different ways of selling for sure, but that has to be the most chaotic 2 launches that I've had.
That is crazy. And I was reading something earlier today that said launch and then focus on making it better. So that just goes to show that you just have to put your work out there, because I feel like as a collective, a lot of us overthink and think too much about something, and then we like talk ourselves out of it. So it's better to just launch something, put it out there, and then improve it along the way, and like you did.
I agree. And I do think there is one surefire way to know if your launch is going to work or not. I talk about this in Equality too. But it is if you consistently serve your audience and you know it's something they already want. They're already like asking for it, but you consistently give to your audience on the specific topic and they are engaged and they trust you already. You can launch it and you can do whatever you want afterwards. As long as you have that connection, that trust part with your audience, you can make it better as you go. It just keeps getting better. And then it also gets more impressive. Over time, you keep impressing your clients because it becomes better as you work on the offer more, as you work on your products more. But if they want it and they trust you, just do the damn launch. It gets so much easier to sell as well when you are in that momentum instead of waiting for your enthusiasm and the doubt to come in. And that kills a lot of launches. It kills more launches than a lack of strategy does, is losing the belief in yourself.
Yeah, and something that I know that you're not really teaching is those traditional long launches with a webinar and a 3-part video series and this and that. So why did you decide to just do it your own way? Was it due to a lot of the experiments that you've done? Was it due to the trust that you've built with your audience? Could you touch more on that?
It was because I was bored. And that's the best answer I can give is if I don't like buying like that, if I need to get on a 5-day part series just to buy one offer from you, I don't like buying like that. If I have to, and I don't want the free thing anyway, it sounds boring as hell. Like I don't want it. That sounds like the most boring thing that you can do to me. I don't want to be there because people are not willing to give their most amazing, coolest stuff for free. And I actually do have, I'm not promoting, I'm not going to say what it is, but I do have a 3-day free event coming up. It's a 3-day free event. It's going to be a party. We're going to have a fair. We're going to have a circus. It's going to be cool as shit. The reason why I don't do long launches is because I get bored by them. Other people get bored by them. And the reason why long launches work is because of repetition. But if your core message is the same, if your core expertise, and we talk about this in one of the other offers, we talk about this too, is you have your core expertise and you have different lenses through which you talk about it. But if the core concept is the same, people are dying to buy everything you have anyway. You are just giving them a new way to experience it, a different way and different levels to experience it. But I was bored. And I was like, I don't want to buy like this. I am in tears. If I have to sit through another 5-part email series even, I don't want to do that. So I have decided to launch the way I get excited, and that is short launches. I've had 2-day launches, I've had 10-day launches, or I just launch until I sell out. And it depends on the offer. Gamification has changed the way I sell, has changed the way people buy. I was like, I can combine the two things in sales I hate. The one thing is that no one actually knows how to do sales, so they just keep manipulating people. So I can teach sales psychology to create trust, and people are marketing in the most boring, lifeless way possible. So I'm going to use gamification. And that's literally my business in a nutshell. It's like psychology-based wealth, gamification. And I was like, let's have some fun. And it just worked, but it worked because I was having a good time. I was so excited to serve. I was so excited to sell. It wasn't about doing it right. It was about doing it right by me. It was about doing it in a way I enjoy buying as well. And it's worked wonders. But once again, I'm saying all of this knowing that my audience is consistently hot and consistently warm. My audience really trusts me, and that's contributed to a lot of things. It's about the way we do content. It's about the way we show up. It's the way we are honest. It's the way we use psychology in our language. The offers I have is structured to keep and remain trust with the people in them. So my audience is consistently hot. So I know I have a privilege that I feel like not a lot of people have. So it's easy for me to say, oh, just have fun, have a fun launch. I am able to do that because I have trust from my audience. Yes, I have a hot audience. My audience is consistently rooted in how much they enjoy my work, because the gamification, the psychology, the fun, the way I lead, the way I sell is the way I lead, the way I teach as well. There's also gamification, there's also novelty, and that keeps trust stacking. So it's less fun to be out of my world than it is to be in my world. So there's no reason.
I agree. I 100% agree. I feel like my life got better once I got into your world.
I'm so honored by that. I'm truly like it was. You are gonna make me cry, but I'm truly so honored by that.
I have one more question before we wrap it up. So you touched a lot on, of course, on sales, we've talked about launches. How do you predict coaches are going to sell in 2026, considering all the social media changes, considering AI, considering, I believe we started the year, and I remember having this conversation with you on one of the 365 calls, and you mentioned that in the beginning of the year, people weren't really buying, those like mid-ticket offers, like 500s. They were more buying high ticket. Now I feel like we're shifting back to people enrolling in masterminds, people wanting to go to events, retreats are popping off right now. So how do you predict the sales are going to change in 2026?
Anything that feels like an experience people will buy. So, for example, may I use one of my offers as an example? This I don't want
Of
to
course.
self-promote, I just want to use it. If you look at Daredevil, how many masterminds have you seen fucking promoted over the last 5 years in business? So many. All of them sound the same. They sound boring as shit, right? Daredevil is an experience where you are in a mastermind and I triple dare you every week and you get a collectible card. So it is a mastermind, but it is morphed into an experience, right? It is now you are triple dared. It's gamification. You're having fun. If you think about how people are doing live events now, people who used to never do live events, it's suddenly popping up. It's an experience. If you are thinking about how people are buying from social media, the moment you do novelty, nostalgia with storytelling, or you do a mixed media type of thing on your social media, people are selling. The way people are going to buy in 2026 will be exclusively for and from experiences. Because marketing, once again, anyone can be a marketing genius now. AI has truly cheapified authority and expertise. And anyone can do great marketing, talk about their mastermind in the most beautiful, exciting way. and have the best client testimonials. It's going to be the experience, how you create the transformation, how you invite people in. It's going to be retreats. It's going to be speaking events, podcasts. The more people can experience you and actually experience something while listening to you or talking to you or being with you should bring them alive. And that's what's going to change, because social media is making us all feel dead right now. We feel so disconnected from ourselves and from our audience and from people. And I realized this last 2 weeks that everyone I'm talking to, it seems like they're going through this really rough time right now in business, not financially. They're making the sales. They feel disconnected. I'm like, you feel disconnected because it's a bunch of robots talking to each other. And the people who are not using robots are doing, I'm so rich. I make so much money. We are disconnected from what makes us human. So you creating the experience, creating that human experience would be the best way for you to sell. And it's not, I told you previously, and we talked about this in 365 as well, where I used to say, cool, we're moving in an era for low ticket. Okay, cool, we cheapified the low ticket. Now we're moving back to close proximity. Now, 2026 will be the year for the people who are speakers, who host retreats, who create experiences within their offers. It's not going to be high ticket or low ticket. It's going to be what's the experience. And you can sell high ticket and low ticket. High ticket is not dead, not even close, not far from it. Because we cheapified the low ticket so much, people are seeking that real connection again. So they're moving back towards the high ticket, but both are selling. It is experience that's going to do the sale.
100%. I love that. And I believe that's also going to make us feel more connected to the people who create those experiences and to be more connected to the communities as well. And that is something that I've really loved about Eclaty as well. Like when I saw the community and how interactive the people were and how supportive everyone was as well, without any kind of hidden agenda, because I've joined the groups where people just liked your post and commented because they wanted to get a sale out of you. So in Eclaty, I felt very, very different. So I'm going to leave a link down below into the show notes to join Eclaty, because I know you host it once a year and it's going to be a phenomenal experience. I cannot wait to get challenged as well by that. And one last thing, Niché, where can people connect with you? Where do you hang out the most on social media?
That is a rough question. No, I'm kidding. I'm trying to move away from Facebook, so the best place for people to connect with me right now would be on Instagram, which is Niché _Arlow_ wealth. I think is my tag. I do believe that's it. And that's definitely the best way to connect with me and for the next 6-ish months. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you again so much for being on the show. I'm so, so honored to have you, especially having you as the first guest. I feel like the audience is so spoiled, and all the advice you've got, I hope people took notes. So thank you again so much for taking your time to be on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much for having me, and I'm very honored to be here and to be your first guest. And I look forward to us collaborating on more stuff for sure.
Absolutely.